All right, so we're back with another interview. Kate Sergent has been kind enough to spend a few minutes with us to tell us about her experience in the Stopover Eating Fast program. She's got an awesome story, I think a story that many of you can relate to. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. Tell us, Kate, a little bit about kind of your lifestyle, because I think that's very relatable, although you might be a little busier than the average bear. But tell us about yourself, and then tell us what attracted you to a weight loss coaching type program.
Perfect. So I'm 47 years old. I'm a wife and a mother. I've got a almost 15-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter. And I work full-time as an event manager for a company out of Minneapolis. And I'm just back to that within the last couple of years. I'm also a cabbie stylist, headed into my 20th season. So that's 10 years as a cabbie stylist, which is just crazy to me. So those are kind of the nuts and bolts of who I am in terms of what I do for a living. Your program attracted me most. Number one, I watched your success. So that's probably part of what attracted me the most. Tracy and I have been friends, got to know each other through cabbie, actually. So I think that watching your success and seeing what was happening with you personally was a huge motivator for me. But to be completely transparent, I was at a point where I was desperate, and I knew I needed to do something different than what I had done before. And I've tried everything under the sun, from hormonal drops under your tongue to the packaged meal plans to working out like a dog and restraining calories. I've tried it all. But I needed accountability. I needed somebody that I was going to put some skin in the game, so to speak, and somebody who was going to kind of hold my feet to the fire. And not that you've been pushy. I don't mean that to sound that way at all. I don't want it to come off that way at all. But I needed some accountability to really move the needle and get moving, because I was miserable and I didn't like how I looked. I wasn't comfortable in my skin. I didn't like how I felt. And that translates into some inauthenticity with my cabbie business, especially when I'm telling women, let's look good and feel good and dress the body you have. And then I wasn't able to do that myself in my own closet before I started your program. So I really, really, truly needed some motivation and some accountability.
Okay. So you saw my story, you probably saw a few other people's stories. It motivated you to kind of take the leap and take a chance on a program that you didn't probably know everything about. You kind of have to experience the program to really fully understand what it all encompasses. Would you say that, because I can relate to your story, I can relate to feeling almost desperate after a lot of different attempts of trying to lose weight. And then just anything that was simple, anything that promised fast that came across my path, I'm like, all right, I'm in. And then I would kind of get into it and I'd be like, okay, this really isn't anything different than every other thing. And we know how that story ends.
Yeah.
Now that you've been into the program, I'm trying to think, you're like 10, 12, 13 weeks into it now.
Longer.
What are
4.5 months.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what would you say was one of the early on surprises when you were first into the program, because you knew it was going to be, or it promised to be, kind of a quick fix? You're going to get quick results.
Yes.
Was there anything that surprised you about it really early on?
I think the fact, I know we didn't necessarily move into fasting immediately, but I think one of the early realizations within the first couple weeks, after cutting kind of the processed carbs and that kind of thing and the snacking, was really that I wasn't starving. I wasn't eating, yet I wasn't starving. I think we always have this fear. There's some mentality of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go into a calorie deprivation type situation and I'm going to be so hungry. And I also didn't feel deprived. Now, to reference, the previous program I'd done, losing weight's never been the issue for me. I can take weight off when I commit to taking weight off. The issue has always been keeping it off. And the program that I had done previously and had some success on was all packaged foods, snacks. You're only cooking yourself one healthy meal a day. And I was worried that I was going to be hungry, and I was worried that the quality, the reason I couldn't ever get back on that program was because I wasn't excited about the food, right? I love food. I love eating. I love the joy and celebration around food and bringing people together around a table. And I was really struggling to embrace, like, oh, I have to go back to eating bars and shakes. And I couldn't get myself started. Yeah. So the fact that I could eat real food, I can eat nuts and olives and yummy meats and cheese and good fats. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing because I can cook so easily that way too. It was very easy to tailor. So those are probably the two big eye openers, that I wasn't starving and that I could actually make some delicious real food for myself.
Yeah. What I hear the most.
Success. Success. Yeah.
That's what I hear the most is, like, right out of the gate, people are like, the science behind this really works. And that is so surprising. It's like, once you figure out what actually fuels you, what actually is satisfying to you, and as long as you make a decision ahead of time, you create a protocol, you incorporate the fasting, the science of all of that, and you layer on top the self-coaching, it works. And so time and time again, I get the text message like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I got those from you.
Well, and to piggyback on that, I was losing at the same rate or better rate than I had on that prepackaged food program, in terms of not just pounds, but fat, in terms of fat and inches, because I had tracked all of that when I did that program. So I had that history, and I was very curious to see how my body would react to this. And it outpaced the level at which I was losing. And I went from something that felt very depriving and not very exciting to something that was very delicious and easy and simple. Really, when you bring it, to boil it down, it's not complicated. I didn't have to measure and track and do all this stuff. I was just making better food decisions and feeling so much better because of it.
Yeah. Well, in those programs, they are almost always steeped in calorie restriction, right? And this program is not. This program is all about your hormones. And so a program like that recommends that you eat multiple small meals throughout the day. Like when I say multiple, sometimes it's like 5 small meals throughout the day. Yeah. Your insulin spikes when you eat. So insulin, hormones are in your blood, which keeps you from being able to burn fat. So when I say it is hormonal, it is not calories. It completely contradicts what these packaged food programs are selling. And they have their own objectives with this. They have food that they're trying to sell, and they have programs that they're trying to sell. I'm trying to sell an education. Like, I really, really want people to understand there is science behind this, and it will work for you if you put the time and energy into figuring out what's going to be satisfying and what your body will adapt to. How will it be turned into a fat burner? And as soon as you got it, like as soon as the light clicked and you figured out, okay, this is what I need to eat, and you were committed and consistent, the weight comes off. And now you're armed, you're educated, and it stays off.
Well, and I proved that over the holidays, because I did do some joyful eating and enjoyed some sugar and white flour and things that maybe at the level that I hadn't been eating, or even drinking alcohol at a level that I haven't been doing recently. And it's amazing to me how adapted my body's become, because instead of having this like, oh, I gained 8 pounds and it takes me, 2 months to get it off my body. Yes, I did regain some weight because I'm retaining all that fluid and all those things from all the carbs and not drinking enough water and all that kind of stuff. But it comes right back off, like within a couple of days. And so that was hugely eye-opening too. This is such amazing tool for me, knowing that when I go on vacation or when I, have a time in my life that maybe I'm not going to be as diligent as I am being right now because I'm still in a weight loss phase personally, that I have a tool that can help me regardless of what my protocols look like going forward. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I'm always floored when I come off a vacation or a holiday and I am fat adapted. So I immediately go back into ketosis. And it's like, this is crazy. And it like kind of pisses me off that I didn't know this before, that it took me 48 years to figure this out. No.
Seriously, all the money we spend, all the things that we tried, knowing that like, oh, I could have been eating delicious food and fasting and getting myself into ketosis, and it would have made a world of difference. But you don't know what you don't know, and that's where I keep saying to women in my life, like, make the investment in yourself and get the education. And I've told you this before. I could have downloaded a couple books and probably stumbled through this and maybe had some success, but I wasn't willing. I wanted to support you in your business. So that was a key. I'd also seen your personal success and I knew you weren't going to steer me wrong, but I also needed someone to guide me through that because I didn't have the bandwidth at the time to be like, hey, I've got to absorb all this information before I get started. Like I said, I was so desperate. It was like, here we go, put me on board, put me in the game, coach, let's go and tell me what I need to do. And it's amazing even seeing today, I made avocado toast for my son. Like, what? Nobody was eating that 4 months ago. And it's this whole, yes, he's having some carbs because he's a growing 15-year-old kid, but it's the way that I'm eating and what I'm doing and how that affects everyone in my household is just amazing. So that in and of itself is worth its weight in gold to me.
Yeah, I will say for anybody out there who is on the fence, who is thinking about this as an expense, I would really challenge you to reframe that and think about it as an investment, because it truly is. Think about all the things that you invest in to be educated. This is an education that you will have with you the rest of your life that will absolutely affect your family and potentially the rest of their life. This is an investment. It is not an expense. I don't think that there's anything that I can think of that is more worthy of being invested in than yourself, than your health. And we talk about it on a mental, emotional, physical, and metabolic level. So the investment is incredibly comprehensive.
Yes.
If you're thinking about it as an expense, I would really challenge you on that. So, and I think Kate is just a really good testament to that. I mean, she knows what expenses are in the weight loss arena. We all do. We've all been there. But I know that Kate values the education,
absolutely,
the science, and on all levels, mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Still learning, and we'll continue to learn. And I've loved being able to experiment with my own body and see what it likes and what it doesn't, and see if I can push myself a little bit mentally. There's days that maybe you don't feel like it and you go, hey, that's okay. Tomorrow I start again and it's a clean slate. And it's really been an amazing tool. But the coaching behind your thoughts and those types, I knew I needed a lot of mindset help. And that's been the biggest shift for me.
Yeah.
The difference in your program versus any other, I hate using the word weight loss program, but in terms of, kind of getting to your healthy ideal weight, all those programs don't really focus on your mindset, or if they do, there's not a lot of coaching through that. It's kind of a, hey, learn your own, follow your own path, whatever. And I admittedly am the girl that will have some success. And then I start to maybe get a little lazy. Mm-hmm. And so this has been really great mindset work for me to say like, hey, okay, so it's after the holidays. And right now I'm going back to the basics as kind of a reset for myself, because I was consuming a lot of sugar and more carbs and things like that over the holidays, and was like, I just need to go back to where I started. Yeah. And all those great habits that I developed, and get back to drinking, a lot of water and some of those basics, and writing down my protocols and doing a thought download every day. And so those things will be with me forever.
Yeah. So tell me what the transformation has looked like from a physical standpoint.
So I have one of those Renpho scales that you can download an app, and so you weigh yourself, and it tells you, weight and your BMI and your body fat percentage. And so this is just incredible to me. So I officially started your program August 28th was my official kind of I'm in, here we go. So I was a little behind the rest of the group, but never felt behind, so to speak. But so I started at a weight that was something I hadn't seen since I was 8 to 9 months pregnant with my daughter, who's now 12. So if that gives anybody a frame of reference of where we started, it was the heaviest I'd ever been in my life outside of pregnancy. And it terrified me because it was a number on the scale that I didn't ever expect to see. But I've lost 44 pounds. I've lost, let's see, I want to say 9% body fat or something close to that. Yeah, almost 10% body fat. 6.4, I'm down 6.4 points in my BMI. And maybe most exciting, I took 3 years off my metabolic age. So I thought that was pretty cool because it's like, hey, all right, here we go. I'm getting younger. So my metabolic age wasn't great before this. But what I love about this scale app is it tells you kind of your body water percentage and your muscle percentage, bone mass, all those types of things that track. So I've just seen a huge improvement in 4 months. To have that type of results have been really awesome. And I'm not quite to my ideal, I don't want to use the word ideal weight because I'm really not hung up on a number. I'm not quite to where I think my body wants to settle to be happy long term.
Yeah, I like to call it natural weight because it's really where you end up like living at your optimal level physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I just think it's what's natural about where you're supposed to be. And I will say your natural weight will fluctuate throughout your life too. So it'll be really interesting to see where you land. But to have that kind of progress in such a short amount of time is so impressive.
Well, yeah, and it's 4 jean sizes. It's a full bra band size. It's a cup size in my bra. I mean, it's the inches above and beyond have been transformational too, just from a clothing standpoint. So it's been really fun to shop my closet again.
Yeah, no kidding. And then from an emotional, mental standpoint, I mean, you are a very optimistic person. You're super fun, vivacious. I mean, everybody loves you. So I know that from the outside looking in, a lot of us probably don't see that in other people. But I would guess you probably recognize some mental and emotional shifts as well in this very short amount of time.
Yes, absolutely. I've always been a pretty positive, happy person, but I was kind of in this funk that I don't want to say depressed. I mean, well, probably at the beginning of COVID, I probably did go through some sort of little depression just because I was furloughed from my job. Everybody was kind of locked down. We weren't seeing people, and I thrive off human interaction and contact with humans. And so I think the thing that this has given me back is just some overall contentness with myself. Like I'm just a more content person because I feel better. I feel better, which translates into sleeping better and eating better and just overall general health type things. But the mental piece of this has really helped me focus back on the positivity of things as well. So even if I do have a slip or I don't have a day where I follow the protocol that I set for myself, which hasn't happened much, that's been part of the positivity of this is that I've been adhering to what I've told myself I'm going to do on a daily basis, which is really pretty awesome. But I think this has really given me the ability to not focus on the failure side of things when you don't do something perfectly or you don't do something like you say you're going to. It's taken the focus away from that negativity that can sometimes creep up with the beating yourself up. Like this holiday season, it was the first New Year's Eve or New Year's Day that I wasn't looking at myself going like, wow, you really let yourself go this holiday season. You got to fight hard and work to get back to where you were. I don't feel that at all because I felt like I managed all of that pretty well through the holidays. Even though I did do some joyful eating and things like that, I wasn't hard on myself. I didn't beat myself up for it.
And the reason why is because Kate did that with intentionality. She intended to eat like that. She planned for that. And so there was no reason to feel guilty. She now knows how to keep that integrity with herself, to build upon that integrity. I will also say Self-Made You, it's an education in self. She's learned a ton about herself. She's learned to love herself, give herself some grace. We are all human. We all want to joyfully eat on certain occasions. So she was able to do that. Oops, we just lost her. She'll probably come back in. But I want to really drive home the point that this is an education on so many different levels. It is physical, mental, emotional, and then metabolically, it is a transformation. So Kate is also, she has so many balls in the air. She, of course, is also looking at longevity, right? She's got a young family. She's got 2 businesses. She needs to be focused on longevity. And that's what metabolic health is all about. And she is now fat adapted. She's now ready to she's reduced her risk of high blood pressure, of diabetes, of chronic illnesses. You know, it's huge, especially in today's state of affairs, right? We have all sorts of viruses out there that we are trying to fight, and we have to be metabolically healthy in order to do that. So Kate hit it on all levels, and that's huge. So I couldn't be more proud of her. I am so appreciative of her time. We've known each other over the years through Cabby, and I know her, like I said, to be a very vivacious person, but being her coach, she's also shared with me what some of those initial thoughts and feelings were. And that's when I know I can really help, because in the hierarchy of the model, the thoughts and feelings are above the actions, right? So I know I can tell her what to do, but to make it sustainable, which is key for Kate. She's tried everything. She couldn't make it sustainable. I knew that I could help, because it's the thoughts and the feelings that she's got to get a hold of. She's got to understand how to self-coach. That 3rd pillar, she's got to fully understand that, to apply it into a protocol that incorporated fasting and choosing the foods that fueled her. That was the total package. So I know that Kate will be a member of Self-Made You for years to come. She is in the process. She is a food lover. She is in the process of creating a blog. It's called The Freckled Food Lover. And she has told me that this blog is going to go live this weekend. So I would encourage you to look her up, The Freckled Food Lover. Follow her. She's a total foodie. I suspect she's going to have a lot of foods that highlight fueling your body instead of just eating for fun, eating for pleasure. I think she'll probably highlight some recipes that will be created and used for fuel as well. So thank you so much, Kate Sergent, for being here. I love you. I'm so proud of you. You've done an incredible, incredible job. I know that you are an inspiration to many. So thank you for your time, and we will see you again soon.